Now today's video is about how to get started with real estate investing. Now I'm going to share multiple methods on how to get started, but also how to roll that and develop and evolve into larger and larger deals and really build that life of abundance that you probably are looking for using real estate. All right, let's get started. Hey, Jack Bosch here, and welcome to the #1 source for real estate and financial education on YouTube. Our goal is to create 1,000 millionaires in the next 2 years, and we want you to be one of them. Okay, so let's get started with getting into real estate the easiest way possible. So most people, when they get started, they need to start with something simple because real estate can be humongously complex or also very simple. You don't want to start with the most complicated way of real estate investing because it's very simply and very quickly can actually overwhelm you and make you fail. Now, instead, what you want to do and what I see people do all over the country again and again, and even what our journey was, is you start with something simple, and then as you build confidence and capability and also make money, you start adding more complex real estate methods to the picture. So what's the simplest way of real estate investing? Most people would say it's wholesaling. You can wholesale land, you can wholesale houses, heck, you can even wholesale big apartment complexes, but let's not get into that. Let's talk about wholesaling houses and land. So Michelle and I have flipped over 4,500 pieces of land because with land, you don't even have to deal with the house. But most people don't know about that. If you want to know more about that, you can watch some of our other videos. We have tons of videos about that. But let's talk about house wholesaling. We have also done a bunch of house wholesales too. When house wholesaling, basically what happens is you find a deal so cheap that, let's say, a seller needs to get out of for whatever reason. They haven't paid their mortgage, they haven't paid their property taxes. They need to get out of that property very quickly. You offer to take the property off their hands at a very low price that is low enough to have enough meat on the bone for somebody else. And what you do is simply pass that deal on to a fix and flipper who then fixes up the property and resells it. So you don't buy the property, you don't need financing for the property. All you need to do is be able to find great deals. And also one of the things you do need to learn is how to analyze how much it costs to repair certain kind of things in the house. You do need to have boots on the ground and walk the house and figure out, well, how much is it going to cost to upgrade the kitchen? How much does it cost to upgrade the bathroom? And how much does it cost to perhaps even change the configuration of the house? You got to have that ballpark value because when you then talk to the seller, that plays a role in how much you know you can offer for that property. But that's something that you can learn. So these are two things you got to learn: getting in front of these sellers and analyzing repairs. And then the third thing probably is negotiating with the sellers. But that's something that's a foundational skills that you will need anywhere in real estate anyway. And by the way, you can do that for houses, or you can even make it even simpler and do it with land, like we do. Take pieces of land that are worth $100,000, put them on a contract for $25,000, sell it to somebody else for $50,000, and they might build on it or do something with it. So it works with houses, works with land, and there's tons of deals to be had. That's how most people start with real estate investing. All right, so now that you have some money in the bank, you have some experience and confidence built up, now the world is your oyster. You got lots of opportunities and lots of options to continue your path of growth in real estate investing. So after doing some wholesale deals, obviously what's the next step? Well, if you really like single family homes, you can transition into fix and flip. You can be one of the guys that buys these wholesale deals and then fix and flips them, because sometimes the biggest money is actually made in wholesaling, but sometimes the biggest money is made in fix and flip. I've seen wholesalers pulling in $100,000 assignment fees. I've seen wholesalers even putting in $200,000 assignment fees at more like luxury level properties. But I also have seen fix and flippers pull in $300,000-$400,000 profits when they sold their properties. So both have absolute humongous potential. Obviously, one is has much less involvement, and the other one has a lot more involvement. So the other way you can do it is you can also now transition into land development. Like we have coaches in our organization that have taken 25 lots, have split them, and now building 25 houses on it. So you can get into land development, you can become a builder, or you can also start becoming a landlord. You can basically say, hey, why do I wholesale all these pieces, all these houses? Why do I have to sell them all? So So you put a little bit of money on it, you get a proper bank loan on it, and now you have a property that spits out massive cash flow for you, and you start building your net worth instead of just building your income. Because in real estate, there's actually two paths. One path is the path of cash flow, and the other path is the path of net worth. And ideally, you want to go and build both at the same time. When you get started, most people have the issue of not having enough money, of being in debt and so on. So everyone focuses on the cash and the cash flow. Do a wholesale deal, do a fix and flip, do those things and get those big checks. Get those $20,000 or $30,000 or $100,000 checks. Great, nothing wrong with that. But at this point, you're still an active investor. And if you stop flipping, if you stop wholesaling, your cash stops. So at some point in your career of real estate investing, you start realizing that, and most people that I know start making a shift. And the shift happens from just flip, 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 wholesale, 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 to wholesale, wholesale, keep one, flip, flip, keep one, so that you start building also that net worth. And from the net worth of having assets that go up in value over time, and then also that net worth provides you with more ongoing passive cash flow. That's a great strategy for progression in real estate. So now that you've mastered the cash business of wholesaling and also gotten into some single family passive income, it's time to actually scale up into multifamily. So multifamily is way more complicated than anything we talked about so far, but also way more powerful than anything we talked about. And that's basically because you're now dealing with economies of scale, as it's called. Because when you get into an apartment complex with 100 units, a whole bunch of different forces play a role. Number one, you become the manager of the manager. So you don't have to deal with individual repairs anymore. And you have a full-time leasing agent on the property who in many cases even lives on the property. You can give them incentives to live on the property. The second thing, and even more important, is that the valuation of multifamily is completely different than the valuation of single-family homes. That is really like the secret sauce to it. That is something that's, once you understand that, you will never go back to single families. The value of a single family house is very simply defined by the value of like-kind houses in the neighborhood. So if in the neighborhood everything sold for $500K, your house is worth $500K plus minus a few $1,000s. That's it. Let's go to multifamily. In multifamily, the value of the property is a multiple of the income the property produces. So typically that multiple is anywhere between 20 and 30 times the income. If you double that income, you've taken that property and literally doubled the value of that property. So in other words, you now have an extra lever that you don't have on the single family house. There's a bunch of complexities that come into on that area, so we don't recommend you start with multifamily. What I recommend is you start investing in multifamily. You start making money up front through the wholesaling, through the fix and flip, to the land flipping, to whichever ways you do that, and you first start passively investing with some multifamily operators that actually will explain to you what they're doing. Like when we invest with our investors, we always give them a monthly newsletter that sometimes is that long, where we show them exactly what we're doing, why are we doing this. So we're educating our investor base on how to run a multifamily property, and quite a few of our investors have now moved on to actually getting their own deals. All right, so that's it. So that's the path of starting with something simple that you can wrap your arms around, that you can understand, that you can pull off. Use that to build equity, to build cash, to build confidence. And then as you learn everything there is about these areas, then as you build the tool belt of real estate, you then keep going up further and further and further. By the way, there's many different other ways that you can invest in real estate that we haven't talked about here. We'll do other videos about that. So with that said, leave a comment below and let us know what kind of real estate you want us to cover. And also make sure you share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel. Hey, and I'll see you in the next video.